Thank you very much. Good morning, Fredericton. And thank you very much for joining me here this morning. We are only 3 days away from Canadians finally having their say on Justin Trudeau's last 4 years as Prime Minister. Dans seulement 3 jours, les Canadiens pourront enfin se prononcer sur les dernières 4 ans de Justin Trudeau comme Premier ministre. 4 years of higher taxes, endless scandals, massive deficits, bigger household bills, and less money in your pockets. Now, I've spent the last 37 days traveling this great country, outlining my plan to help Canadians get ahead. Job number 1, we're going to scrap the Trudeau carbon tax. Scrapping that carbon tax will lower the cost of everyday essentials like gas, groceries, and home heating. We're going to go one step further and take the GST off of home utility bills, saving families over $100 every year. We'll introduce the universal tax cut, lowering the first income tax bracket, saving a family with average salaries $850. We'll introduce tax credits for parents who put their children in sports, math, language, or arts programs, take public transit, or invest in green renovations for their home. We're going to make maternity benefits tax-free, putting up to $4,000 back in the pockets of new parents. We're going to increase the age credit, helping a senior couple save an extra $300 per year. And we will boost the government matching contribution to our ESPs by 50% to help more parents save for their kids' education. Now, to do this, I will stop sending corporate welfare handouts to rich corporations and end foreign aid to wealthy countries that don't need it and hostile regimes that don't deserve it. Now, over the last week, I've outlined my 100-day action plan, the steps a new Conservative government will take right away to put more money in Canadians' pockets. I will task former BC Finance Minister Kevin Falcon and former Via Rail CEO Yves Desjardins-Siciliano with identifying $1.5 billion in corporate welfare savings so we can put that money back in the pockets of Canadians. Within 45 days of forming government, my finance minister will table the Get Ahead Fiscal Update, which will lower taxes for Canadians before the end of the year. I will also convene a meeting of Canada's premiers in Ottawa on January 6, 2020, to begin breaking down interprovincial trade barriers to usher in a new era of national unity and cooperation. I will bring in stiff new penalties of up to $20,000 for politicians who violate the Conflict of Interest Act, as Justin Trudeau has done twice. And as I mentioned, that Get Ahead Fiscal Update will include repealing Justin Trudeau's carbon tax and taking the GST off home heating bills starting January 1st, so no Canadian is stuck paying more during another cold winter. Au cours de la dernière semaine, j'ai pu présenter mon plan d'action des 100 premiers jours de notre nouveau gouvernement conservateur et comment nous allons remettre de l'argent dans vos poches dès maintenant. Je vais demander à l'ancien ministre des Finances de la Colombie-Britannique, Kevin Falcon, et l'ancien dirigeant de Via Rail, Yves Desjardins-Siciliano, d'identifier 1,5 milliard en subventions aux entreprises. Et je vais remettre cet argent dans les poches des Canadiens. Dans les premiers 45 jours de notre gouvernement, le ministre des Finances va présenter la mise à jour économique, plus pour vous dès maintenant. Je vais également convoquer une rencontre avec les premiers ministres provinciaux et territoriaux le 6 janvier prochain pour discuter de commerce intérieur. Je vais aussi mettre en place de nouvelles pénalités pour les politiciens comme Justin Trudeau qui enfreignent la loi sur les conflits d'intérêts. Et je vais annuler la taxe sur le carbone et éliminer la TPS sur le chauffage résidentiel dès le 1er janvier. Our plan is achievable. It's fully costed, and most importantly, we're going to get to work on it right away. Now, compare that to Justin Trudeau, who in the late stages of this campaign has left the door wide open to forming a coalition government with the NDP. So instead of hitting the ground running, Trudeau would spend his first 100 days scheming behind closed doors with the NDP, negotiating which NDP members of parliament will get into cabinet and exactly how high he'll have to raise taxes to hang on to power. So let me be blunt. A Trudeau-led government with the NDP calling the shots would be the worst possible outcome for Canadians. Even higher taxes, bigger deficits, less jobs and less investment, and even less money in your pockets. This is the coalition Canadians cannot afford. Justin Trudeau has made it clear he will pay any price to stay in power, and he will use your money to pay for it. Justin Trudeau a été très clair qu'il va payer n'importe quel prix pour rester au pouvoir, et il va utiliser votre argent pour y arriver. Now, we've looked at the Liberal and NDP platforms, and a coalition of the two would run a deficit of $40 billion next year alone. To pay for even half of these never-ending deficits, the Trudeau-NDP coalition would have to raise the GST from 5% to 7.5%, or cut completely the Canada social transfer to the provinces. These coalition deficits will raise your taxes and starve our vital public services of much-needed funds. And so, the choice is clear. An NDP government wearing a Justin Trudeau mask that will raise taxes, kill jobs, damage our economy, and take more money out of your pockets. Or a conservative majority government that will live within its means and put more money in your pockets so you can get ahead. Le choix devant les Canadiens est clair. Un gouvernement d'NPD qui porte une masque de Justin Trudeau, qui va augmenter les impôts, éliminer des emplois, nuire à l'économie et prendre plus d'argent dans vos poches. Et un gouvernement conservateur, majoritaire, qui va vivre selon ses moyens et mettre plus d'argent dans vos poches pour que vous puissiez en avoir plus dès maintenant. 4 years ago, Justin Trudeau made a lot of promises to get elected. He promised to balance the budget, but then buried our children and grandchildren under billions of new debt. He promised to fight for the middle class, but then increased taxes on 80% of middle-class families. He promised to do politics differently, but now he's prepared to sell Canadians out in a coalition with the NDP in a desperate attempt to cling to power, no matter the cost to you and your family. And time again, Trudeau has proven that he is simply not as advertised. And perhaps nowhere is that more evident than here in Atlantic Canada. Atlantic Canadians put their full faith in Justin Trudeau in 2015 and elected a full slate of Liberal MPs to represent them in Ottawa. But what have they gotten in return? A carbon tax that makes their lives more expensive, a fisheries minister not from Atlantic Canada, an ACOA minister from Mississauga, and ballooning healthcare wait times and doctor shortages. In 2015, Justin Trudeau won 32 for 32 in Atlantic Canada, and ever since, Atlantic Canada has gone 0 for 32. Every single Liberal member of Parliament in Atlantic Canada voted for Trudeau's carbon tax. Every single Liberal MP in Atlantic Canada voted in favor of Trudeau's attack on small businesses. And every single Liberal member of Parliament in Atlantic Canada stood by and watched Justin Trudeau as he put thousands of people in the energy sector out of work. The bottom line is Trudeau and the Liberals have taken Atlantic Canada for granted. And that's why I'm so confident that our new Conservative government will have a strong contingent of Atlantic Canadian MPs, including from right here in Fredericton and all over New Brunswick. And so as this campaign draws to a close, and as Canadians make their final decision, I say this. Joignez-vous à des millions de Canadiens qui ont déjà décidé de voter conservateur, parce qu'ils votent pour un meilleur futur, pour un pays plus uni, où aucune ambition et aucun objectif ne sont hors de portée, et aucun projet n'est impossible à réaliser. Join the millions of Canadians who are already voting Conservative, because they're voting for a brighter future, for a closer, more united country, where no ambition is too bold, where no goal is out of reach, and no project is too big. Where Canadians from every province and territory and First Nation can take part in and contribute to our shared prosperity. And where the government gets out of your way, so the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the desire to make it a reality. So let's turn the page on a Prime Minister who long ago lost the moral authority to govern, and a Trudeau NDP coalition that will cost you thousands of dollars more every year. And let's choose a Conservative majority government that will lower taxes and put more money back into your pockets, that will balance our budget to protect important public services like healthcare, that will unite Canadians under our shared values and shared prosperity, and that will get our energy sector back to work by creating a national energy corridor and bringing in good jobs in every province. We have a real plan. We have a real plan to help you get ahead. It's a plan that can work. It's a plan that will work. But first, we need to elect a strong Conservative majority government, and that's why I'm asking for your vote on October 21st. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. How do you take your questions now?
Good morning, Mr. Scheer. Katie Simpson, CBC News. There are several things that you've said repeatedly throughout this campaign that your opponents straight up say are not true. You keep saying the Liberals are going to introduce a new home sales tax, despite the fact they say it's not happening, it's not counted in their platform. You're warning families. You went on a television station yesterday in Toronto, warning families, and you've been warning certain ethnic communities that a Liberal government will decriminalize hard drugs, even though the Liberals have said that is not in their plan, they're not going there. And just now, without any evidence, you're saying that the Liberals and the NDP would need to raise the GST to 7%. No one has said that. So I want to know, why dabble in this kind of misinformation campaign?
Well, it's not misinformation at all. We know that the Liberals are contemplating these types of things. The Liberal Member of Parliament, star Member of Parliament, leading Member of Parliament from the Liberal benches, Adam Vaughan, was pushing for these types of policies. We know the capital gains tax on primary residences is something that was put forward. And the excuse that it's not in their platform, well, Justin Trudeau did a lot of things that wasn't in his platform after 2014. And so you'll pardon me if I don't trust him on that. On decriminalization, of course, we know that many Liberal candidates are advocating for this. We know that it was considered by the Liberal members of Parliament on the Health Committee. We know it's something that the NDP supports. So this is clearly the type of thing that Canadians need to be concerned about during discussions between Liberals and NDP to form a coalition government. Now, as for the raising taxes, we can be sure that taxes will go up to pay for an NDP coalition. This is the coalition that you cannot afford. And so Justin Trudeau needs to come clean. He needs to have the guts to tell Canadians exactly which taxes he will hike in order to pay for the deal between the NDP and the Liberals to form that coalition. He needs to come clean. If he's so sure that Canadians will endorse that, he needs to put that before Canadians in the next few days so Canadians can make an informed choice on October 21st. Alors c'est clair que les libéraux ont considéré les choses comme les nouveaux taxes sur les résidences personnelles premières et les décriminalisation des drogues dures. Et c'est clair qu'avec une coalition entre le NDP et le libéral, il va avoir dû augmenter les impôts pour payer pour les grands déficits. Alors, si Justin Trudeau est si confiant que les Canadiens veulent avoir un gouvernement coalition entre le NDP et les libéraux, il doit avoir le courage d'expliquer exactement quel impôt il va augmenter pour payer pour cette coalition, et il doit faire ça immédiatement lorsque les Canadiens peuvent faire un choix informé le 21 octobre.
My follow-up question is, Adam Vaughan, the candidate you keep pointing out, has gone on CBC News repeatedly, has gone on other news outlets and said it is straight up not true. I have obtained the documents that you're referencing. It was not presented as a proposal. It was an idea that was collected at a town hall that was included in some documents. It was not included in that pitch. And as part of my follow-up, the raise in the GST, no one has said they're going to do that. Why? Did you just pick it out of thin air? It doesn't, there's no evidence.
Back to the principal residence, Salem principal residence. Under this Liberal government, under direction from this Liberal government, the Canada Revenue Agency has started to track information related to the sale of principal residences. So that is clearly something that they have initiated under this Liberal government, and we know that this was a policy submission to the Liberal platform. As it relates to raising the GST, we are showing Canadians the types of costs that will be associated with this massive amount of new deficits. They will have to make choices. They will run these massive deficits, $40 billion of new deficits alone to pay for the NDP Liberal coalition promises. That money has to come from somewhere. Raising the GST from 5 to 7.5% is one option. If they are not going to raise the GST, they have to explain which taxes they will raise to pay for it. And that is my challenge to Justin Trudeau today. If he is so sure, if he is so sure that Canadians want an NDP Liberal coalition and these massive deficits, he needs to tell Canadians exactly which taxes he will raise to pay for it, and he needs to do that immediately so Canadians can make an informed choice on October 21st.
En français.
Sous Justin Trudeau, sous le gouvernement libéral, leur agence de revenus a commencé de ramasser l'information liée de les vendre de les résidences premières. Alors c'est clair que c'est quelque chose qu'ils sont en train de considérer. Et avec l'exemple de le TPS, pour payer pour les grands déficits de coalition, il doit augmenter les impôts. Le TPS, c'est un exemple. Si ce n'est pas le TPS, Justin Trudeau doit avoir le courage d'expliquer aux Canadiens exactement quelle taxe et impôt va augmenter pour payer pour la coalition entre l'NDP, NPD et les libéraux.
Mr. Scheer, we've heard a lot about the nastiness of this campaign, the tone. Yesterday, Jagmeet Singh said he doesn't respect Conservatives. I'm wondering if you feel the same way about New Democrat supporters.
You know, I respect all Canadians, and I respect people who have a different point of view. And my role is to convince Canadians and show them how my policies will lead to a better Canada and make life more affordable. And I can disagree with people without insulting them. And I've even had members of my family run for the NDP, and I still certainly respect them, and we still have lots of great conversations around the dinner table. J'ai le respect pour tous les Canadiens, n'importe quelle opinion, n'importe quel parti elle appuie, et je peux vous dire que comme le chef du Parti conservateur, c'est à moi de montrer aux Canadiens les bénéfices de notre plateforme, et j'ai des membres de mon famille qui ont présenté pour l'NPD dans les anciennes élections, et j'ai beaucoup de respect pour eux aussi.
In that spirit, a few days ago here in Fredericton, I asked Justin Trudeau what he liked or admired about you, and he said that you appear to be a good family man. Without borrowing that response, I'll give you the opportunity to say something back about him, or what that you like or respect about him.
I respect the fact that he is sacrificing a lot for what he believes in. I disagree with what he believes in. I disagree with his policies. But anybody who enters public life and puts themselves through everything from the media scrutiny to the travel, the long hours, so I certainly do respect his dedication. C'est clair que chaque personne qui présente pour le service public a beaucoup de défis et a beaucoup de sacrifices, et je peux apprécier la dédication que Justin Trudeau a pour ses politiques. Je ne suis pas en accord avec ses idées ou son plateforme, mais je peux apprécier le travail dur et la dédication.
Philippe Vincent de Radio-Canada, vous allez en Beauce tantôt. Est-ce que si vous réussissez à battre Maxime Bernier à cette élection-là, un, c'est la fin du Parti populaire, et deux, c'est une victoire pour vous de défaire Maxime Bernier en Beauce?
C'est une victoire de gagner tous les sièges et nous avons des bonnes raisons d'être confiants en Beauce. C'est pas à moi de décider le futur de notre parti, mais pour toutes les personnes qui sont tannées de Justin Trudeau, tannées de ses déficits, tannées de la façon qu'elle a représenté le Canada au scène mondiale, c'est le Parti conservateur qui peut remplacer, c'est moi qui peux remplacer Justin Trudeau comme Premier ministre. Sure, so it's always a victory when we win seats, no matter where they are, and we have reasons to be very optimistic in Beauce, and we have a great candidate. Nous avons un candidat excellent. So I'll be there to support our great candidate. As to the future of that party, that is not for me to decide. But I can say to every Canadian who is tired of Justin Trudeau's high taxes, massive deficits, and the way he's embarrassed Canada on the world stage, it's the Conservative Party of Canada that can replace the Liberals, and it is me who can replace Justin Trudeau.
Au Québec et un peu ailleurs au pays, il y a de plus en plus de gens qui disent voter stratégique le 21 octobre. Il faut défaire les conservateurs. Il y a une menace que si les conservateurs reviennent, il va y avoir des compressions en culture. L'environnement est menacé aussi. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de ce défi de voter stratégique? Est-ce que c'est une bonne solution?
Alors, c'est des mensonges de notre plateforme. Mon appel pour les Canadiens, c'est de voter stratégiquement pour arrêter les grands déficits, pour arrêter les hausses d'impôts, pour arrêter un plan pour l'environnement qui ne fonctionne pas. Voter stratégiquement d'arrêter, de bloquer, de stopper Justin Trudeau et voter pour le Parti conservateur, voter pour moi.
Good morning, Mr. Scheer. Elizabeth Bandage with CBC News. You've said if the decision was up to you that you would seek a judicial review on the Human Rights Tribunal ruling ordering Ottawa to compensate First Nations children. Do you believe these kids do not deserve compensation?
Not at all. What I said was that given the scope of the decision and the impacts it would have, that it would be appropriate to have judicial review.
Would you compensate them as Prime Minister?
I believe that children who have been mistreated or families that have suffered because of policies of the federal government should absolutely be compensated.
And on another matter, your intention is to repeal the carbon tax legislation that the Trudeau government brought in. Would you consider this a vote of confidence? And if you lose the vote, does that mean to you that you've lost the confidence of the House?
So these types of discussions are all centered around what happens after October 21st. And what I'm focused on between now and October 21st is showing Canadians the choice that is before them. On the one hand, we have a coalition that Canadians cannot afford, that will have to raise taxes for their massive spending promises during this campaign, who will add $40 billion to the deficit. We know what that means. It means more and more of your tax dollar goes to pay the interest on that debt, and that threatens public services like healthcare. On the other hand, we have a Conservative Party that is promising to get back to balanced budgets over a responsible period of time by cutting corporate welfare, by reducing the foreign aid budget, and ending wasteful practices like March Madness in Ottawa. And we are going to return that money to Canadians in the form of tax cuts. Those are the choices that is the choice before Canadians. So my appeal to voters between now and October 24th is to give our party a mandate to repeal the carbon tax, to lower taxes, and to get back to balanced budgets.
Hi, good morning. Christy Kirkup with the Globe and Mail. What is your assessment of the current BC government, given that Christy Clark's Liberals secured the most number of seats, but she is not the Premier?
I will leave it to the voters of British Columbia to assess the performance of the current government in British Columbia. My pitch to voters between now and October 21st is to vote for stability, vote for a strong majority government, a Conservative majority government that can get back to balanced budgets, stop borrowing billions and billions of dollars from future generations, from current generations, stop threatening our vital public services, and elect a government that will get back to balanced budgets and lower taxes all along the way.
With all due respect, that isn't what I asked you. I asked you whether the government is legitimate, given that the party that won the most number of seats is not actually in government. Is that legitimate?
As you know, I pointed out yesterday current modern conventions. I am also pointing out the choice between Canadians, the choice that is before Canadians, the clear choice between a Liberal NDP coalition, a coalition that you cannot afford, a coalition that will run massive deficits, even bigger deficits than Justin Trudeau's running now, because he's going to have to buy off the NDP. And that means higher taxes and threats to vital public services. On the other hand, we have a conservative platform that will get back to balanced budgets, lower taxes, scrap the carbon tax, build a national energy corridor that can get Western Canadian resources to Eastern Canadian markets, something that the people of New Brunswick here support, the people of Canada all across this country support. That is the choice on October 21st, and I'm asking for a strong mandate so we can implement our agenda.
Mr. Chair, Michael Couture with Global National. I want to ask you about Brexit and whether or not you think the UK should leave the EU under the terms of the agreement reached between the two sides yesterday, and if so, why?
That is ultimately up to British lawmakers who will make that decision.
Fair enough. I also wanted to ask you about something that this is the first time we're hearing about this today. Your claim that the NDP and Liberals, if they do form a coalition, which they haven't said they will raise the GST. Why are you dabbling in this kind of fear-mongering to voters when nobody has said this? I'll just finish my question as it was partially interrupted. Are you not misleading people by saying that? And one more time, where did you get that number from?
We are showing Canadians the types of consequences that they will face with an NDP Liberal coalition. It is quite clear that that is what they are contemplating. It is also clear that they will add billions of dollars to the deficit. And like night follows day, massive Liberal deficits lead to massive Liberal tax hikes. This is exactly what happened in Ontario under Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty. It is what happened. It is what has happened at the federal level under Liberal governments before. So Canadians can now see they will have to do something to pay for these massive deficits. Raising the GST may be is one option. They may raise other taxes, and that is why I say Justin Trudeau needs to have the guts to tell Canadians immediately which tax hikes he will implement, which policies of the NDP he will accept in order to stay in power. He has the obligation to tell Canadians exactly what they are voting for on Monday. Canadians know what they are voting for when they vote Conservative. They are voting for fiscal responsibility, a responsible plan to get back to balanced budgets, and tax cuts that will help make life more affordable so Canadians get ahead. That is the choice on Monday, and I'm asking Canadians for a mandate.
Chris Sully from the National Post. You promised Quebec all kinds of unique arrangements, more powers over immigration, culture, things like that. These are ideas that tore the Conservative coalition apart in the 1990s. Do you think that the modern Conservative movement, the modern party and your supporters are united behind this idea of asymmetrical federalism?
I absolutely believe that Conservatives acknowledge that les Québécois form une nation dans un Canada uni. That's something that our party supported, and there are principles that flow from that. We are the party that believes in decentralization, and we are prepared to sit down with Premier Legault and talk about how Quebec's culture and its history and its language can be protected within a united Canada. At the same time, we believe in decentralized principles for other provinces. We are the only party that respects provincial jurisdiction, that rejects the Ottawa knows best approach, top-down federal government, and wants to work collaboratively with the premiers. Justin Trudeau is currently fighting several premiers in court. He is literally campaigning this election by attacking provincial premiers. We will have a cooperative approach and sit down with premiers around the table after this election to get things done for Canadians.
Mr. Blanchet from the Bloc has said that he would not help support any kind of minority government that would axe the carbon tax. Can you guarantee your supporters that that is non-negotiable in any kind of scenario that happens after October 21st?
Well, I've made a clear commitment to Canadians. We will introduce legislation to repeal the carbon tax. The carbon tax does not work. It is raising the cost of literally everything from home heating to gasoline to groceries. That is what we're putting forward for Canadians. That is why we're asking for a strong mandate so we can get rid of the carbon tax, lower other taxes, make life more affordable, leave more money in the pockets of Canadians so that Canadians can get ahead. Alors, j'étais clair avec les Canadiens. Notre premier projet de loi va être appelé la loi pour annuler la taxe sur le carbone. Ça, c'est dans notre plateforme, c'est un engagement de la première priorité. Je ne peux pas spéculer sur les scénarios après le 21 octobre. Je demande aux Canadiens un mandat pour équilibrer le budget et baisser les impôts. Ça, c'est mon appel dans les derniers 3 jours de cette campagne. Ce sera le choix pour les Canadiens le lundi.
Mr. Scheer, we've heard your pitch to those voters who are not currently decided conservative, but that's 70% of voters based on current polling. So we've heard your pitch, but what's your message to those voters if they vote the way that they're currently looking and you're forced to put together a minority? What's your message to those voters?
Well, my message to voters who have not yet made up their mind is clearly there is a choice this election. There's a choice between an NDP Liberal coalition that will add billions of dollars to the deficit, threaten the capacity of the federal government to support important services like healthcare, like education, that will raise taxes to pay for it and drive jobs and investment out of this country. I mean, which types of big projects in this country that create jobs will be canceled when the NDP get to start calling the shots? On the other hand, we have the choice of a conservative majority government that will support our energy sector, that will get big projects built again in this country, that will responsibly balance the budget and lower taxes all along the way. So my message to voters who have not yet made up their mind is vote for a conservative candidate, vote for our party, so we can make life more affordable and help Canadians get ahead.
Toronto Mayor John Tory has said that he had significant concerns about your platform, specifically around your approach to the opioid crisis and to transit infrastructure. Can you respond to those comments from the mayor yesterday? And more generally, how would you deal with federal-municipal relations at a time when you're going to have to deal with a lot of progressive premiers in big cities?
Well, I've had numerous meetings with Mayor Tory. We've had very productive conversations, and I would remind him that it is only the Conservative Party. I am the only federal leader that has made a full commitment, an unequivocal commitment to the Ontario and Young Line expansions. That is something that is very important to the people of Toronto, and my commitment is that we will ensure that the overall amount for spending on infrastructure is protected. At the same time, I would remind him that we are the only party that is talking about cracking down on gang violence. And that is a problem all over the GTA. And we are going to go after the real criminals, the members of gangs, and the drug and firearms traffickers. That we are the only party that will make our communities in the GTA and all over Canada safer by going after real criminals.
Bonjour, M. Scheer, Catherine Lévesque, la presse canadienne. Vous allez faire un dernier blitz au Québec tout à l'heure. Je me demandais qu'est-ce qui n'a pas fonctionné dans votre stratégie pour que vous vous retrouviez en 3e place, loin derrière le Bloc québécois et les libéraux dans la province.
Nous sommes très contents avec notre campagne au Québec et nous avons des candidats extraordinaires. Nous avons une plateforme pour le Québec exceptionnelle et comme nous avons vu dans les autres élections comme les partielles, nous sommes très optimistes pour des gains au Québec.
Mais précisément, qu'est-ce qui n'a pas fonctionné? Est-ce que c'est votre position sur l'avortement? Est-ce que c'est la laïcité? Est-ce que c'est les pipelines?
Non, on va voir le lundi les résultats. Nous sommes très confiants que les Québécois et Québécoises veulent avoir un gouvernement qui va équilibrer le budget, qui va protéger, et pas seulement protéger, mais augmenter le fait français, la culture du Québec. Et nous avons une plateforme, nous sommes le seul parti qui peut envoyer les résultats. Je suis le seul le seul candidat pour Premier ministre qui va instaurer un seul rapport d'impôt. Je suis le seul candidat pour Premier ministre qui va bannir la pratique des déversements d'eau usée dans nos cours d'eau. Alors, je suis très confiant pour les résultats de lundi.
Juste rapidement, la Ville de Montréal dit qu'elle pourrait retirer un montant d'argent qui serait important, qui serait accordé au tramway de Québec, un 800 millions de dollars si vous êtes élu au gouvernement. Est-ce que vous promettez que le projet de tramway au Québec va aller de l'avant?
Nous avons fait un engagement que tous les projets qui étaient approuvés vont continuer. On va assurer que ce projet va continuer aussi.
Good morning, Mr. Scheer. Stephanie Levitz from the Canadian Press. You've talked a lot about a Liberal NDP sort of coalition, but in this particular riding that we're in, the Green Party is a major factor. What's your assessment of that party and the platform they're offering to Canadians?
Well, when you look at the types of job-killing policies that they would bring in, the types of projects that they would cancel, leading to thousands of people being put out of work, the massive spending that is contained in their platform as well, we can see that if those policies are adopted too, it will be even costlier for Canadians. And so, again, we see on the one hand a coalition between the Liberals and the NDP, and perhaps supported by the Green Party, that will lead to massive new deficits and tax hikes to pay for it, or a strong Conservative majority mandate that will balance the budget, return the money to taxpayers in the form of tax cuts. Et si je peux, sur la question sur les tramways à Québec, je veux ajouter que nous sommes le seul parti qui est en faveur de le troisième lien. Et je suis sûr que les gens de la ville de Québec veulent avoir le troisième lien. Et nous sommes le seul parti qui peut former le gouvernement pour envoyer le troisième lien à Québec.
And just as my second question, if we could cast our gaze a bit outside of Canada's borders, the situation in Syria. To what extent is Donald Trump's abandonment of Syria to blame and for paving the way for Turkish invasion? And do you think Turkey should remain a member of NATO?
Well, I will say that I believe it was the wrong decision to leave the Kurds. These are people who fought alongside us in the fight against ISIS. And I can say that as Prime Minister of Canada, I will certainly expect all members of NATO to respect human rights and international law.
Bonjour M. Scheer, Mathieu Roy, Como de l'Acadie Nouvelle. L'avortement a été un sujet assez important, surtout à Fredericton. Pensez-vous que le Nouveau-Brunswick respecte la loi canadienne sur la santé en ce moment, le Nouveau-Brunswick, en ne finançant pas les avortements à l'extérieur des hôpitaux?
Je peux noter que la situation ici à Nouveau-Brunswick n'a pas changé après un gouvernement libéral et Justin Trudeau a seulement commencé de parler de cet enjeu après l'élection provinciale et pendant cette campagne.
Donc, est-ce que la loi canadienne sur la santé oblige les provinces à financer les avortements à l'extérieur des hôpitaux? Allez-vous obliger la province à financer les avortements à l'extérieur des hôpitaux?
Alors, comme j'ai dit, ça c'est un enjeu qui n'a pas changé depuis un gouvernement libéral ici au Nouveau-Brunswick. Et c'est seulement dans cette campagne fédérale que Justin Trudeau essaie de jouer les petits politiques. On va toujours appuyer la loi sur la santé au Canada, le Canada Health Act, et on va augmenter les investissements pour les services de santé par au minimum 3%. Et ça, c'est notre engagement pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes. Yeah, so I will note that nothing has changed in the province of New Brunswick in terms of this policy from the previous Liberal government here provincially, and it is only during this federal election campaign and with a progressive Conservative government provincially that Justin Trudeau is trying to make this an issue. So it's quite clear he's trying to play politics with this issue. Our commitment to Canadians is that we'll increase funding for healthcare services by at least 3% every year.
Aidan Cox, Daily Gleaner. You said today and yesterday that modern convention means that Trudeau must quit if he doesn't win the most seats. What about in the last provincial election we saw here, where Higgs had to wait his turn to allow Gallant to attempt to maintain confidence of the legislature?
Well, as I mentioned, I was pointing to modern Canadian history at the federal level where prime ministers who came out of the election with fewer seats followed that practice. Now, what we're talking about now in the last few days I will leave it to pundits to do their punditry about what might happen after October 21st. Right now, it's important that Canadians understand they have a choice between a Liberal NDP coalition that will run massive deficits, even bigger deficits than Justin Trudeau, that those deficits will threaten important public services, and that coalition government will have to raise taxes to pay for it. And again, I challenge Justin Trudeau to be crystal clear with Canadians. If he believes that he will have a right to govern this country with the NDP supporting him, he needs to have the courage and the backbone to show Canadians exactly which taxes he will hike. Because if he does not, then Canadians will know that he doesn't have the courage to explain exactly what it is he's proposing. On the other hand, a conservative platform that is fully costed, that shows exactly how we'll get back to balanced budget, is the best way to help Canadians get ahead. We will lower taxes, we'll put more money in the pockets of Canadians to help them get ahead. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Thanks.